Welcome to Book Banter with me, your host, Dianne Burckhardt. I hope you will join me every Wednesday as we explore all things to do with, well, books. Let's get on with our show today. Hello, my happy people. Today is March 6th, 2024, and welcome to the beginning of the second month of our Love Fest opener for Season 3. Today we have another great romance author for you. She writes in the fantasy romance genre, and have we got a great story for you. You're going to love to hear about her book. If you like fantasy, she loves to tell high adventure stories with incredible characters you're going to love. So stick around until the very end when I have some great news coming up about Book Banter magazine. And of course, other things that I'm working on behind the scenes with Burckhardt Books. So sit back and get comfortable, and welcome to Book Banter with Dianne Burckhardt, Nadine Abrahams. Thank you so much for joining me today. Can you please tell our listeners who you are and what you do?
Hi, my name's Nadine Abrahams, and I am an author. I write high adventure, epic fantasy, and that includes flawed heroes. I find it is important to show heroes are capable of making good or bad decisions and how it has far-reaching consequences.
And I started reading the sample of your first book that is out right now. And what's the title on that one again?
That's called The Primal Heartbeat.
And what's the book that you're coming out with next in that series?
The Primal Heartbeat 2.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yes.
I started reading that today, and at first it's like I was having a little bit of trouble getting into the story, but then I started realizing, oh my God, this reminds me so much of World of Warcraft. And once I put that image in my head, I got so into it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes, it follows a kind of Dungeons and Dragons inspired theme as well, because I'm a dungeon master myself.
Oh, nice. When I was a kid, I wanted to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons, but all the people I knew playing it were boys. Girls weren't playing that.
Yes,
and I could never find anybody to get into it with me. I never had the chance to play Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm like, I'm determined before I die. That is on my bucket list. I am playing Dungeons and Dragons.
It's a lot of fun. And you can build so many friendships out of it. I've got long-lasting friendships from it.
I have so many friends who play it, and we keep talking about whenever I go back to the United States, we're going to have a game, and we have not done that yet. I swear on my next visit back to the US, it's happening.
Fantastic. You should just go all in.
So how did you get into that?
Well, it's a bit strange. I've always loved fantasy and all that sort of stuff. And my ex-boyfriend came over and he taught me and my boyfriend at the time how to play Dungeons and Dragons. And it turned out I started becoming the dungeon master. And we've remained friends ever since.
If I understand it right, the dungeon master is the one who creates the story. And with you being an author, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, I've always had the knack for storytelling. I used to tell stories to my younger siblings.
So have you always been a writer?
I think my soul has always been a writer. I used to write stories, but more likely I told stories or made up games. But it took a long time to realize that I should write books.
When did you actually start doing that?
When I was 12 years old.
Really?
Yes, and this is the first book I wrote when I was 12.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's different.
What was the inspiration for that?
Well, I had a traumatic event happen in my childhood, and when I was 12, I sort of started writing down about how I felt, and this character came to life in my mind. And this is Aki, the young girl who she goes through traumatic things, but she's brave and strong and outgoing. And I think she was everything I wanted to be at that time.
That really makes sense to me. Last night, I was actually in a writer's group, and I started thinking about this. We were talking about people who like to have a lot of control in their lives. I'm obsessive compulsive. I'm definitely a control freak. And I started thinking about it, and I realized that's how I dealt with stress. I became a writer. I would create worlds that even though there were bad things that happened in that world, I could control how it happened.
Yep, and that's exactly, that's my situation too. That's why this trilogy is a passion of mine.
The first book is out and available for purchase. Where can people find that?
They can find it on Amazon. They can find it on Barnes and Noble, and I believe it may even be on the Walmart website as well.
Oh, wow. Now, when do you expect to have the second book out?
Well, second book is in proofreading right now, and I'm hoping to have it out before April.
Oh, nice. That's pretty quick.
Yes.
So when do you start working on the third book in this trilogy?
That's already completed. It's with my editor right now. I wrote both the second and third book within 4 months.
Wow. You make me feel like I need to get on the ball.
It took me 20 years between the first book and the second and third book. So, yeah.
Now, I know that you have children in the home. How on earth do you manage to do writing like that when you've also got kids to look after?
Well, my youngest is up a lot through the night because of additional needs. And when he's up, sitting up, I start writing, and he often comes and sits with me.
Do you think he would have any interest in being a writer too? Or does he just like
He,
listening to your stories?
he loves books, but it's my eldest and my second children, my two girls, who love my stories and want me to start writing some of the children's books down.
Now, do you also have a children's book that's been out for a while?
Yes, I do. I have the book called Ad Astra. It was designed for my eldest daughter who had problems with reading, and she couldn't get into the older kids' books because they weren't written at her level. So what I did is I wrote it easier to read, but with the same things for an older child.
I was reading the synopsis of that this morning before our interview, and that sounds really interesting.
It's different. It's about a magical store owner, and people come in to try and get him to solve their problems when they should be solving it themselves. And he gives them items that if they use it the wrong way, it can have far-reaching consequences. And it's humorous too.
And I love that whole premise that you should be doing this yourself. You shouldn't be looking for other people to do it for you or something magic to just make it go away. You should solve your own problems. That's a great message.
Exactly. Yes, I thought so too. And a bit of humor thrown in the mix is always fun.
That's always helpful. What is your process like whenever you start a book?
That's different. I get inspired by the most unusual things, sometimes a chicken, a fog, or a flower, and I just write. I'm a bit of a pantser, but then I'll go back and reread, and my poor editor, I'll reread and edit my own work 10 or 12 times before I even send it to her.
Now, do you ever listen to your book? I know for me, if I write something and then read it, I miss so much. But if I have like a text to speech program and listen to it, I catch so much more.
I use that often. I use Word's read aloud function. It's brilliant.
It's amazing how different it works when you're trying to edit with the text to speech program. It's incredible how much easier it is to catch typos and things like that, or missing words.
Yeah, or paragraphs that sound wrong, past verbs and possessive verbs and all that come across a lot clearer.
Oh, yeah. That's one of those tips that it's like I've actually talked to a couple of different authors who that is a tip that they give to people. It's like, don't just read your work, listen to it. It's so helpful.
My editor gave me that advice. She's brilliant. We're friends now.
That's always helpful too. Because I think if you get to be really good friends with your editor, they will be more honest with you.
She is just amazing. She's honest, and she's a writer herself. She's aspiring to get her own work out, and I can't wait to read it. I have nothing but respect for editors.
It's great that you would be able to have that kind of connection with your editor, because sometimes it can be a little distant, and finding a good editor like that is priceless.
And you should really look into editors who have experience with your genre. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, definitely. That is an important tip.
It helps if they're readers themselves, if they read the genre as well.
Yeah, that is invaluable. So many authors have talked about whenever they have sent off their work that this person kept coming back and giving them notes that really didn't fit their genre. And so whenever you find somebody that is a fan of that genre and does read that and understands the tropes and understands the market, so much better for you.
It is. And I couldn't be without her now. She's worth her weight in gold.
What do you find is like the easiest part for you when you're working on a book?
Writing. It just flows out of me. I don't have any control over it sometimes.
What is the hardest part for you?
Editing, because I like my stories, and cutting things out is hard for me. It's like, no, I really like that, but you really have to do it. It's very important you go back and you cut and edit and make sure it sounds okay. Even if you like that passage, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that it's almost like cutting off a piece of you. It's like, no,
It
I
is.
worked
It
so
is.
hard on that. It doesn't matter that it doesn't fit the story. It sounds good.
So what I usually do is I'll email myself my original copy, and every time I make, quite a few changes, I'll email that myself again.
Mhm.
That way I've still got all my old work and I can read through it at my leisure, but it means when it goes to print, it's the best it can be. And not only that, it also backs it up too.
Yeah, that's true. So that's one thing I'm always worried about. I've got my computer that has like terabytes of room to save all my stuff. But then I also have two external drives that I save other copies on because I'm so paranoid. It's like, what if my computer crashes and I lose the ones that are on there? So I need it on this external drive. And what if that external drive goes bad?
I do the same thing. That's why also emailing your editor, she's got a copy too.
Nice. Yeah. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about the Primal Heartbeat.
Well, we have a young girl called Aki, and she goes through quite a traumatic childhood, and we see her orphaned, and it's quite upsetting. She then finds out she's part of a prophecy and is taken to a school where she is pretty much left alone to raise herself. Her and her best friend, he tries to help her in a lot of ways, but she defies him. She doesn't like the idea of this prophecy. She thinks it's ridiculous being her own person. But then the evil goddess actually strikes out and starts to hurt her. And she realizes she actually has to come to terms with this prophecy if she's going to actually save the one she loves.
Who is it that she loves? Or is that going to be too much of a spoiler?
That's too much of a spoiler. Everyone was surprised when they found out who it was.
Oh, nice. That's always
Yeah,
intriguing when you hear things like that.
it is. And they were a little annoyed with me too.
Oh,
My
well, that's
Arthur
even
is like,
better.
yeah,
Because I kind of like when that happens.
yeah, some do. Some people loved it, but my really loyal arc readers were like, "What? No, I'm not happy with that." But we're happy at the same time.
Yeah. It's that turmoil that makes it interesting
It is.
because
There's a lot of turmoil.
it's one of those things that it tells you it's not like all the others.
Yes, I've been told that.
This is the point of the show where we like to do 5 quick questions that never turn out to be quick, but we will never give up on this bit. Are you ready?
That sounds fun.
The question 1, what is your favorite character to cosplay?
Out of my book, that would have to be Archie.
What about whenever you're doing Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, I actually play a character called Cinny. She's a little nymph and a secret god, and she actually changes the world for the characters, and I play as well as DM, and she's adorable, but the other characters get annoyed with her sometimes.
Perfect. Question 2, what game are you most addicted to playing? Because I know you're a gamer.
Uh, Baldur's Gate, which is based off Dungeons and Dragons. I love Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and 3 not too bad. But yeah, anything that happens to be closely linked to Dungeons and Dragons, I'm a fan of.
Question 3, what romance book or author have you read the most?
I love the story Jane Eyre. I've read it again and again. It's just a classic, and it was probably my first introduction when I was about 11 to romance.
That is such a good classic story. I'm such a fan of Jane Austen.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
As a matter of fact, I just bought the Kindle version of the complete
Oh,
works of Jane Austen.
I'll have to get a copy of that too.
Yeah, it was nice. So, question 4, other than romance, what genres do you prefer to read?
I like high adventure. I like horror. I like sci-fi. And I don't even mind some mystery.
Now, do you like cozy mystery or more hard crime kind of mystery?
More cozy mystery.
Okay. Because a lot of people don't realize there's a very big difference between those two.
Oh, there is. I've read them. I don't mind them, but I prefer cozy mystery instead.
It's like I actually have a lot of like the more hardcore Mickey Spillane kind of mysteries. But whenever I want something just to read for fun and relax, I always go cozy mystery.
Yeah, it's just great.
Yeah. Question 5. If you could pick any fictional world to live in for a vacation for like a month, where would you go?
I'd go to Tolkien's worlds.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, just it's the basis of most fantasy. So yeah,
Say, but what part?
I'd go hang out with the elves, then I'd go hang out with the dwarves.
See, and I would go straight for the hobbits.
No, but I'd end with the hobbits. You know, it's like coming home. I'd like to meet most of the races, but we end with the hobbits because then you just chill and relax and party.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah,
it's like they've got books,
yeah.
books, they've got food, they've got cute little houses.
If I could be a fantasy race, I reckon I'd be a halfling hobbit.
Oh yeah. I kind of like the fact that they run around all the time without shoes.
Oh, yes, I agree. I'm usually barefoot or in socks, even outside. I'm not keen on shoes.
Yeah.
And I'm too clumsy to be an elf, and I'm not strong enough to be a dwarf, so halfling it is. And I like cooking, so awesome.
Since you have said that you are a good cook here, what do you like to cook? What's your favorite thing?
I like Italian food.
Oh,
I
nice.
like pretty much anything I see on the internet, I'll just try it. I have no limits with that. I like a lot of goulashes and stews and things
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh. Okay, you definitely need to check out our second issue of Book Banter magazine. I
Oh,
featured an Italian cookbook author, Michelle Di Pietro, and she has a cookbook called Soupified, where she takes all
oh,
these Italian dishes and creates those flavors and tastes and textures as a soup.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, and there is a recipe in the year-end book buying guide from last year, and I believe it's the November issue of our magazine. There's 2 different recipes from her in there.
I'm gonna have to check that out too. Thank you for the recommendation. I love supporting other authors.
Well, and if you love Italian food, you're gonna love her food. Oh my
I
God.
will. I'll definitely be checking that out.
Since I met her, we have made so many of her recipes in my house.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, they are so good.
Hey, and it breaks it up and you get some new ideas and she gets to show you her ideas. It's a great win-win situation.
Oh yeah, if you like lasagna, you should try her lasagna soup. It is
Wow, that sounds
incredible.
interesting.
Yeah, it is amazing. You will love it. And
I
it's
have
easy
my
to
kids
make.
will too.
So now, where can people find you and your work?
Well, I'm available on Instagram. I'm available on Facebook on the Stars Fallen page. And you can find me on TikTok occasionally, but I don't tend to do well with that platform. But yeah, I'm on KDP. I'm on Ingram Spark. You just Google search and you can find me pretty much straight away.
Do you have a personal website?
I do. It's on Wix. It's called nadineabrahams.wixsite.com/author.
Do you have a link tree?
What's a link tree?
Oh, you have to find this. Okay. If you just Google Linktree, what it is
Okay.
it's just a page where you can list all of your links. And
Oh,
it
that
does
sounds
that.
fantastic.
And it's mobile friendly too. So you can put like that on your Facebook page and people can go to that one place and find all of your links for everything you have.
That's great. I'm going to have to use that.
Yeah,
I've
it's
got the
amazing. And all of the information to find you and your work will be listed in the description of today's podcast, and it'll be live on our host sites and on our website from here on out. So whenever people come to this interview, they'll be able to find your work. Is there anything that you would like our listeners to know that we have not covered today?
just enjoy reading and supporting authors everywhere. And that's all I can say.
Thank you so much for doing this interview with me today. You are going to be such a great addition to our Love Fest for the beginning of season 3.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor.
So there you have it, folks. The incredible story of how Nadine Abrahams came up with the idea for her romance fantasy, The Primal Heartbeat. Now, don't forget, you can go to Amazon right now and buy book 1 in this series, and you can also pre-order book 2, which is coming April 1st. And I promise that's not a joke. Now, don't forget, we have got so many cool things coming up with Burckhardt Books and Book Banter magazine. I can't give you too many details now, but it looks like we're going to be working out a way for a larger distribution of Book Banter magazine and possibly another little special announcement to come very soon. Hopefully, maybe even next week. So be sure to watch all of our social media for coming announcements. We're looking at a lot of different options, and hopefully things are going to just keep getting better. And of course, I'm also working diligently whenever I have spare time, if there is such a thing in my life right now, on my next book, which is my medical memoir, Free Bad Haircut with Each Craniotomy. This is a book that I am detailing all of the events of what happened during 2004 when I had to endure 7 surgeries in 6 months, and 6 of those were brain surgeries. After brain surgery number 5, I got a MRSA staph infection in my head and actually died for a moment. I talk about that and so much more. That was a very crazy year, and I'm going to share it all with you. So help me to celebrate 20 years of surviving all of those brain surgeries this October when I release Free Bad Haircut with Each Craniotomy. Hopefully here in the next few months after we get a cover set, we will do a cover reveal, of course, and then we will put up a pre-order site so that you can start getting those orders in now for when we finally have this book released to celebrate 20 years of my last brain surgery. I think that's about enough for today. There's so much going on. I need to get back to doing some other work. I've got some negotiations to do, some contracts to read, and hopefully some great news to be bringing all of you very soon. So go check out our website, check out our social media, and keep listening to Book Banter with Dianne Burckhardt podcast, because more great things are coming. So you know what time it is, people. It's time for you all to go forth and be really happy.